Hello, my JTAL friends, and welcome to another Journey to Authentic Living episode. I'm calling this episode Getting By Till You Die. I'll be talking about deliberate choice, or the deliberate choice of living an authentic way to personal development versus the instant gratification, because instant gratification doesn't just arrive from a I want it now mode, but also from frustrations. And I'll explain a little bit later what that means and how I'm seeing it on a professional level. Personal development as an industry is quite new, but its philosophy is not. Personal development and growth have its roots in philosophy and psychology and science, Eastern religions like Buddhism and spirituality. And I find it vital to reiterate what it is and to continue educating people about personal growth, its benefits, and how it evolves, and the modalities and therapies behind this growing industry. The commitment it takes to develop your person is still not a widespread understanding, and many experts continue to focus on change by isolating aspects of a person or from a person, right, to create lifestyle changes. However, to create long-lasting change, we need to address all aspects of our life: our physical, our mental, our emotional, our psychological, our behavior, our environment, our work environment, and the list goes on. I think most people do not understand the commitment, or that commitment rather is the main ingredient to lasting change. My opinion is that people's ignorance is partially due to the propagation of the instant gratification that we tend to see with celebrity gurus, or the idyllic notion of long week retreats, that'll promise everlasting lifestyle change. Furthermore, the health, wellness, and fitness industry make it all seem so easy. So we have a tendency to see the end results, the before and after pictures, or we read someone's blog where there's a happy ending, and then it ends with a period. It's happy and dot, we're done, the end, right? Making sads into glads. The reality, however, of lifestyle change and behavioral change is quite different. You may ask, well, how is it different? Well, when you're looking for changes, the most readily available content you find are heavily based on retreats, like I was saying, that promise immediate lifestyle changes. Or how about watching celebrity gurus tell you that all you have to do is X, Y, and Z? Maybe while waiting for your hair or doctor appointment, you skim through these health magazines that indeed provide some good tips and exercises, all in positive psychology gestures, but the latest and the greatest isn't key here. What experts are leaving out from their equation is, how to maintain lifestyle change when you're left by yourself, and what it takes to be successful. Because when you return home to everyday reality, which includes back to your problems, your negative habits, your frustrations, who then will keep you accountable? And those frustrations become a negative affirmation that I call get by till you die attitude, because you reach a point where you feel, discouraged, and you just get by with some trendy wellness or improvement tip that lasts about a couple of weeks until you grab onto the next one. You go from one guru to the next, one high-scale retreat to the next, and so on. Many people want the short road to success or fulfillment or peace, and then wonder why they aren't dissatisfied, and may even blame others for their successful or unsuccessful attempts, right? So we oftentimes see unsuccessful outcomes with weight loss, right? There's so many diets to choose from, and people who've tried them oftentimes have not been successful. I mean, there's so many diets, yay? paleo, vegetarian, pescatarian, vegan, low carb, high carb, gluten-free, sugar-free, etc. So instead, what needs to be addressed are other key components to getting your desired outcome. And by the way, I'm not saying that any of the diet or eating plans that I've mentioned earlier don't have exceptions to education on lifestyle change. However, many times the education they provide is oversimplified. In the case of weight loss, it really behooves you to, for example, see a doctor and get your physical condition checked out, not only to make sure that you're fit to go on a diet to lose weight, but also to make sure that you don't have any problems that can aggravate any so-called diet that you may be on, because you could actually hurt yourself more. I also want to say that I actually don't believe in diets. I believe in lifestyle change. I believe that a person will never really be able to maintain their weight if they don't make a constant commitment, an everyday commitment to create healthy habits for themselves. So being overweight is not the root problem, and perhaps neither is eating. Usually there's an emotional component to gaining weight, like there's an emotional component to people who smoke, for example, or just like bad attitudes and behavior. There's an emotional component to that. Even people who want to grow and evolve have behaviors that are less than healthy, like maybe they are easily angered or have anger management issues. They lash out, or maybe they withdraw and use the silent treatment. People who have intimacy problems and even financial ones, and the list goes on. All of these behaviors on a high level would be sort of treated the same way, I suppose, or looked at in the same way. Maybe that's a better way to say it, right? It means taking a deeper look at our emotions. Behavior is behavior no matter what the addiction or major challenges are. So we can even take the hot topic again of politics. I know people that are addicted to politics and they can't stand people on the opposite end, for example, right? And well, that's an addiction too. That's something that they're aware of, that they don't want to have triggers or get angry. They say they're open-minded, yet the behavior consistently, beats them to it. You're against me, with me or against me kind of thing, right? And so I kind of always like to pose the question, well, what is going on in your life to make you so angry about this issue or person or politician? What is it about you, or what beliefs do you hold that keep you in this black and white paradigm, right? Against me or with me type of situation. Maybe even you can ask yourself, what does this or who does this political party or politician remind me of? Was there someone in your life that just gets your goat, and so you feel like this person is exactly the same, right? Many times the anger or black and white thinking behavior, although we're talking about politics, actually seep out. These behaviors come out in these people, even with others in their everyday life. There's always someone to piss them off or, so we need to take a look at that behavior. And at the end of the day, we know that the more emotional we are, the less productive and empathic listener we tend to be. The less likely we will commit to change, because, we will not keep ourselves accountable. And who will help us be responsible for our behavioral change as we change? Will we be humble enough to do it on our own? So let me give you a few pieces of information that many experts leave out in regards to personal development. One is commitment. So it takes a conscious commitment to move forward with behavioral change, no matter what the issue is. And commitment isn't just saying you'll do something. It's literally practicing every day a new and healthier way of being. And this leads to committing as well. So I'm piggybacking on another thing is that, and I'm going to repeat that, it's practicing every day a new and healthier way of being. This leads also to committing to a view or viewing another dynamic, and that's the psycho-emo is what I call it, or the psychological emotional well-being. In other words, you cannot be committed long-term without at least understanding that you and only you are responsible for changes you make, for the goals you set, for maintaining your improvement. And this really means looking at areas of yourself that you have been avoiding. So we always like to think that we have the willpower or the mental stamina to make the changes necessary, to follow through. But it's not always so linear because, first of all, we're human beings and habits are difficult to break. And we are emotional beings. And most often we try to change alone with little to no support from others. In addition to that, we have a programming in our subconscious that requires us to look into. When we begin to make changes, we are also going inwards into ourselves in a very intimate and deliberate way, viewing and addressing sometimes delicate issues and problems that we've avoided before. And these are moments we do not always know how to handle, or even how to describe them, how to label them in order for us to then move on, or to heal, to resolve and move forward, right? So, when we bring something into our conscious mind, it's important to begin to work on that. If not, we risk sinking into a deeper rut if we're not careful. So again, to maintain something, we need an accountability partner. So that means hiring a coach, right? Somebody, a professional like myself, or if you can have, a spouse or a loved one or a really good friend that can actually keep you accountable to those goals that you set out for yourself, to call you out on those behaviors and that you not take it personally. It's okay to even, for example, if you do have anger issues, it's okay to say, please do keep me accountable. However, is there a possibility to keep me accountable in a nicer way, because it's such a trigger for me? I don't want to feel like I'm being criticized or anything like that. But also be, honor that as well, because you're just not going to change behavior by yourself. And sometimes when we look at these celebrity gurus, or we flip through that magazine, or we see, like I said, the before and after pictures, or we see the end results on something, we just sometimes psychologically, or because our mind isn't always there, we just sort of take for granted that it does take a lot more work. Okay, so those are some of the things that are important. Unless you make a conscious choice to live your commitment to personal development differently, addressing your emotions are paramount to lasting lifestyle change. There's just no way of getting around it psychologically, and in that way. You have to take a look at your psychological, or the psycho-emo, as I would call it for short. So before you can change, your thoughts, for example, changing your emotions and taking a look at that is really most important. It's our emotions that get us caught up. And that includes our triggers. When you choose to take significant small steps by practicing them, and when I say practice, I'm reiterating again, I mean every day, Be committed every day. It takes a person days, right, to instill a healthy habit, a new way of behaving or thinking. And, you can only achieve change by implementing every day. Sometimes I was working with someone, and this person said something about meditating and things like that. And this person felt like that, that was kind of part of the practice, so that this individual wouldn't feel triggered. But what was even more successful about this person, when I ended up having a session with them, is that they actually were doing the very thing that is the ultimate goal, and that is really practicing those triggers. Because, when you're in a state of meditation, or whatever that means to you, or you're exercising at the gym, or, whatever that means, you're not being triggered in that moment. It's when we're actually having the trigger. It's actually when we are with other people, or when, we're looking at food that we want to eat. It's actually right then and there that we practice that commitment. And it doesn't mean we can't make a mistake, or I don't even look at them as so much mistakes, but sometimes there's a misstep, right? So it is, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, until you get the hang of it. It's like anything else. It's like roller skating or riding a bicycle, right? I mean, you kind of fell off the bike. If some of you ride bikes, you just kind of fell off of it when you were a kid, until you got really good. And you probably got so proficient at it that you didn't even have to put your hand on the handlebars. And it's the same thing with behavior. But it has to be a deliberate commitment, and you do need an accountability partner. And that's what the experts aren't really sharing. And that long week, or the long weekend retreat where you have meditation and group, there's all kinds of stuff out there. And I don't want to be too critical, but it's just, it's not enough. I've seen over and over again, people become very disappointed because they think that they're going to have some type of change. But it's more like a evangelical revival. You get all souped up, and you're going there, and you're meeting people, and you're thinking like, okay, I'm taking these classes, or I'm doing all kinds of exercises, and I'm really at peace and everything. But that's just not everyday life. What are you going to do when you come home? I think there's a very small percentage of people who actually won't be able to maintain that. Now, if you're somebody that already is maintaining some type of ritual, and you want to go to a retreat just to get away and to meet like-minded people and do the same stuff that you've already been instilling in your life, well, then that's great. It's just going to be like, I don't know, like mind candy or something like that, or relaxation or something like that. You're just kind of connecting with people of the same type of ritual, but to go to a retreat or to read a book and just get all souped up and excited and everything, and then after a while it's just kind of trendy. You're on the slippery slope. It's very difficult. Behavior is not always easy to change, but it is doable, definitely. It just takes small steps, consistent small steps. Okay, let me look at my notes to see what else I wanted to say about that. Okay, well, here was another thing that kind of can segue into that, that it is how you achieve behavioral change, how you achieve being disciplined about losing weight, or about anger management, or I don't know, just think about anything else that you can think of, because it's all behavior. If you the way I take a look at this is behavior. It's all about behavior. So if it is about losing weight, it's about behavior. If you're overweight and or the other opposite, it's always about behavior. So it doesn't matter if it's anger or being overweight. We're addressing still behavior. And so when I was saying about implementing every single day, you actually want to expose yourself to being around people when you get to the point, not just see how strong you are, how you can resist, but eventually you kind of do want to dip into that kind of environment, right? Until you're ready. Um, and that's how you really exercise, and that's how you really measure even healthy boundaries. That's how do you measure that? How do you start practicing? You don't practice by reading just intellectually and understanding what healthy boundaries are. Most times you will exercise that when you're out with other people who have a tendency to disrespect you or to trigger you. That's when you can start practicing, and you have to start somewhere. And I know a lot of times I've had clients that say that they're afraid to do that. And I can see that, it can be a little scary in the beginning, for a lot of reasons. But again, it's a choice you're making. If you want lifestyle change and your end goal is to be peaceful or relaxed or, live a rewarding and fulfilling life, you have to implement on a, daily basis. Okay, so I'll leave you with this reminder that it is you that must make the conscious choice to practice every day that tool or technique or way of being, right? And nobody can do it for you. So I know I've talked about that, but I just want to reiterate that again in the video. The more that we engage in talking about our problems, the more we engage in retelling these stories, about how this didn't go well, or how about, then what we're doing is we're actually creating more imprints in our subconscious, and we will then have more difficulty coming out of it. So really do find yourself an expert, somebody that can really help you kind of get out of that, and start telling good stories. Find a way to resolve and to heal your family traumas and your family problems, and learn healthy boundaries, because retelling it, and this is actually science, by the way. I'm not saying this, I'm not coming from just a law of attraction, positive attitude. Don't mention your problems because it's just negative. Well, first of all, it is negative, but if it's unproductive, at the end of the day, people they don't always want to hear it. You want support, but if you're retelling the story over and over again, you need to find somebody that can really help you pull you out of that and make some lifestyle changes. But again, nobody can do that except for you. You have to want to change. You have to want a better life. And I know a lot of people say they do. However, even with education and information and videos like this, believe it or not, people don't. That's another thing that sometimes experts will tell you. So find yourself a friend, like I said. Find yourself somebody that is willing to be your accountability partner. Trying to do things by yourself is just not going to always cut it out, okay? And so anyways, I will leave you with that. Please do comment below. Ask me any questions if you want me to elaborate, and or if you want to contribute to what I said here, please do. I appreciate it. In the meantime, I'm encouraging you all to live authentically. Take care.